Some people have talked about this as being a Holocaust movie. I like to think of it as being that and different in that it is uplifting. I hope that an audience will come out of the theatres feeling they've seen what one individual can do. They've seen the power of human survival.
That was James Hawes, the director of the film One Life. I had a great conversation with him and two actors from that film, Helen Bonham Carter, who plays Babby Winton, and Romola Garai, who plays Doreen Warner. Let's begin with director James Hawes.
James, when did you first discover Nicholas Winton's story?
I discovered it probably like most people on the YouTube clip that goes viral a couple of times a year. The little annex to that is that my second ever job in the industry was as a trainee researcher on That's Life, on the very program, the BBC show that eventually brought Nicky Winton's story to the world.
And your first thoughts upon seeing it that first time, what did you think?
The power of human emotion, the restraint, the extraordinary restraint in how you can feel the flood waters of emotion that he's held back for decades and how he's keeping them together. And also just honestly, the power of human spirit. Some people have talked about this as being a Holocaust movie. I like to think of it as being that and different in that it is uplifting. I hope that an audience will come out of the theatres feeling they've seen what one individual can do. They've seen the power of human survival.
What was it like directing this story? I can only imagine a burden and a blessing. What was it like?
Yes, it was that. And that clip, we talk about that studio moment, that is both a blessing and a tank trap because everybody's seen it, they've been moved by it. So what are you going to do in the drama that is going to be at least as emotional? One of the things we did was recruit some of the children that Nicholas Winton actually saved to be the audience.
Wow.
So when the presenter says, anybody owes their life to Nicholas Winton, please stand, these guys really do. The extraordinary thing was quite often we were filming on the locations where real events took place. So on the station in Prague, from where 85 years previously, those kids had actually said goodbye to their parents, their families for the last time. So to be in the society, to be in the city where all that happened was very powerful.
Indeed. The casting, incredible. What was it like? How did you know that you wanted Sir Anthony Hopkins and the rest of the cast? How did that all play out?
The first thing with Sir Anthony Hopkins was that he was the condition set by Nicky Winton's daughter for giving up the rights of the film. So she handed over the book, handed over the rights, and said to the producers, get me Anthony Hopkins, which is, it's a big ask for your producers right out there. I'd worked with Johnny Flynn, I'd worked with Helen Bonham Carter before. I knew they'd bring the right generosity and attitude and warmth to the film. I knew Johnny would be both physically but emotionally a brilliant match to play the younger Nicky. And Helena has such an indomitable spirit. She was just perfect to play the ally, the door kicker in 1930s London that she does so well and with so much comedy too.
How much do you feel we know about what happened? And how much do you think this is going to be an introduction to many people about this piece of history?
Do you know, I'm always surprised by how little people seem to know and how this piece of history, which is so significant for our modern world, how it seems to be fading in minds. I met some Americans leaving Prague on the aircraft that we flew out on, saying to me that they just discovered this piece of history called the Holocaust. And I found that shocking, to be perfectly honest. And these were people in their 60s and 70s. So if we introduce people to that bit of history and a crucial piece of our modern history, and we understand what that means for humanity and the lessons we should learn from it, then that's vital. I wouldn't want to think that this is just a history lesson. It's a powerfully emotional, entertaining piece of cinema.
It's beautifully done. It's beautifully done indeed. Do you have a hope, if you will, for this? And what do you think it is that motivated Nicholas? What drove him?
he saw children that needed help, needed saving. He saw something that needed doing. He had no specific skill set or experience or even time to be there and do this thing. But instead of going, the problem's too big for any one individual to solve, he started off and did what he could. Hence the title, from the saying from the Talmud, you save one life, you save the world. And just do the bit you can. If somebody takes away if just a few people take away that lesson from the film, then hey, cinema and storytelling will have been doing its job.
Incredible film. Truly loved seeing it. It's an honor to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
That was a great conversation with James Hawes. We've now got a chat with Helen Bonham Carter. She plays the role of Babby Winton in the film One Life.
Helena, how would you describe the relationship, the mother-son relationship, if you will, between Babby and Nicholas?
Well, for me, I found it one of the most unusual. I'd never come across a mother-son relationship that's quite so dynamic and such harmonious. They work together, and she's the one that he goes to when in need of help. So there's an immediate trust and an immediate sense that she will be able and capable of doing what he's asking, which is quite considerable. I think. I think he's such an extraordinary and stunning man, Winton, and he really needs to be known just to help everybody else feel not totally in despair at this time when, frankly, there aren't enough heroes. Certainly not in charge. Flipping hell. I mean, the governments across the world need some heroes and some sensible intelligence and wisdom, and Winton was that, modest beyond belief.
Yeah.
He was extraordinary and he was effective and he made change and his heart was in the right place. And at being his mother, I played his mother. So my immediate thought, well, of course, it obviously came from the mother,
I like that.
I come from a psychotherapeutic background and the mothers are often answerable to a lot in the making of a man.
Indeed.
And I think she must have she was a remarkable woman. And because she was a woman in the 30s who was really up till then only really a housewife, very cultured, very clever. But I think she was somewhat frustrated. So when her son asked her to do this, it's probably the most fulfilled that she ever was. And it used her intelligence and her just her skills and resourcefulness. So it's a really dynamic mother-son relationship without it being suffocating.
Agree.
It was a very healthy one.
Yes.
Very close, very healthy.
Beautifully portrayed as well. When did you first come to this story and know that you wanted to be a part of this?
I've been sort of a long relationship because Lucinda Coxon, who originally wrote it, was also adapted. She approached me, years ago. I'd worked with her years ago too, before that, like 30 years ago. And she said, I've got this perfect part for you, knowing that your grandmother was Austrian Jewish, so you come from the same extraction. And then she watched this documentary that I did. I was lucky to do about my grandparents. So both my grandparents did a lot in providing visas and getting a lot of Jewish people out and giving visas, against, particularly my grandfather, he did it risking, and in fact, he was demoted, but against his government's wishes. He worked for the Spanish government. So it was in my DNA. I mean, I looked at the part and I thought, this is very cuttable and it's not like that big a part. But I did it for the story. And then the ultimate thing was when James came on board, the director, he's an old friend, and I had a really happy experience doing a film about Blighton with him. He's he's a director to be trusted. And he said, look, I know the part's not right, but it's an important story. And I said, yes. It's rare when you actually get asked to do a script where you go like, oh, this could possibly, it means something and it could make a difference to people's lives.
Yeah. Did you approach the project with a hope and a prayer of what you'd like to see it do?
I think it's just in the man. I mean, he's extraordinary. I thought it might give some hope. We didn't know. Obviously, when we made it, Ukraine had already, there was that crisis, that war was going on. There was really eerie shooting in Prague with all these children pretending to be refugees, knowing this is not really it's not history, it's present we're shooting. And then it came out uncannily on the 6th of October, the day before the bombing in the Middle East. So its timing and the context in which it sort of arrived was something that we couldn't have known. But I think has actually been received, definitely here in the UK. So many people, even though I'm a small part, but have phoned up or texted or contacted saying, we're so grateful for this experience because haven't been in a cinema where there's a communal sort of experience of feeling and actually ultimately hope because of this man.
Mm.
And I do hope people go out to the cinema and watch it. I think I think people are feeling so isolated and dislocated and lost. But that togetherness of human experience and watching a man do something and contribute when so much of us feel lost and impotent might be helpful.
I agree, 100%. Small part you may have played, but it was wonderful and unforgettable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Anna. Nice speaking to you.
You too. Thank you.
Helena is not only an award-winning actress, she's also the director of a television series and a film producer. Our conversation continues now with a talk with Romola Garai. She plays the role of Doreen Warner.
Romola, who is Doreen Warner? Who is she?
Doreen Warner was a humanitarian. She was actually a professor of economics. She went to Europe initially in the early 1930s to lecture in economics and then ended up working for NGOs. The NGO she worked for was a really small organization in Czechoslovakia that was helping refugees. But obviously, as the Nazis came to power in Germany and then, the threat of war loomed, her tiny organization was having to deal with hundreds of thousands of people pouring into Czechoslovakia from Germany, Jewish people, political exiles, communists, anybody who felt risk from the Nazis. And she was having to kind of deal with ever expanding refugee camps rather than sort of individual people. And then she became involved along with Nicholas Winton and Trevor Chadwick with the effort to rescue children from the threat of Nazi invasion and bring them to the United Kingdom.
Incredibly moved by your portrayal of her. How familiar were you with her story and her heroism?
I didn't know anything about her at all. I'd never heard of her. It's still amazing to me that a human being can achieve so much in their life and just like not know. No one knows anything about her. No one I knew had even heard of her. And Nicholas Winton was very reluctantly thrust into the spotlight right at the end of his life by this sort of variety show, chat show, That's Life, which was a very popular show in the United Kingdom. But he was kind of dragged kicking and screaming into the spotlight. And although he acknowledged the people, he always was absolutely religious about acknowledging the people around him and the team that he worked with. She has kind of been forgotten.
Yeah. What do you think it was about her that motivated her to do this work? It was pretty dangerous. What in her life made her this way?
I think she was a thrill seeker. I think she was honestly somebody who just wanted challenges in their life. She never married. She never had children. She didn't lead a kind of traditional life. She became an economics professor in Britain in the 1920s, which for a woman is very unusual. And I think she deeply wanted to help people. But also she wanted challenges and experiences that would push her. And then I think when it came to actually putting her life in danger for other people, I got the feeling that none of them had really thought of it. Wasn't like that they really weighed it up, that it was more like the possibility of abandoning people was impossible rather than the act of giving your life for others was possible. Do you know what I mean? The alternative was the thing that they just couldn't countenance. They were obviously not going to go back to the UK and just leave all those people there. They were obviously not just going to, jump the ship. And so I think she was just a very good person and a very brave person, and also somebody who liked to challenge.
What about this story and project attracted you? Why was this something you wanted to do?
I mean, there are very many reasons. I think the story in itself is obviously an incredible testament to the ability of human beings to just be incredibly good. It's easy to forget that. And also, it was a very beautiful screenplay. The screenplay made me cry reading it, which almost never happens anymore, because you read lots of things, and it was a very profound experience reading it. And and then when I found out that Anthony Hopkins was going to be playing Nicholas Winton and Johnny Flynn as well, I just knew it was going to be a very, very exceptional film.
Do you do this work, and as it's released, do you have a hope for what people will see and take away what the project does to them?
I think with some films, you just hope that anyone sees it because it's a piece of work that you feel personally invested in. You like the film, or you like the storytelling. But with this film, it feels more than that. It's like humanity has the capacity to be incredibly good and incredibly brave and incredibly modest and kind, and it feels like a gift to remind people of that. So I just hope that as many people as possible see it, because I also think it's a film that pretty much any age group can see, and it's I think the words sort of life affirming are overused, but like in this instance, it really reminds you that there's value in as the film says in its title, there's value in all of us.
One life. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Romola has done work in theater and serves as a writer and director of several films. The film One Life opened in the top 10 at the box office, pulling in nearly $2 million from nearly 1,000 screens. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's edition of Conversations from Studio 5. We appreciate you making this your weekly destination for uplifting interviews in the world of lifestyle and entertainment with a strong focus on faith. Hope you'll come back and join us next week for a great conversation with recording artist Dietrich Haddon. For more information on the show, please be sure to check out our Facebook page. You can also find us on Instagram simply by searching Studio 5. We'll see you here next week, right here on the podcast.